Hey everyone, welcome to Backpacking 101, Wander to Wonder. This is Gear Up and Go. Today I'll be showing you guys all of the gear that you're ever going to need while you're out on the trail. Sorry, the dogs are digging a hole over there, of course. We'll start off with the camp gear, such as tents and sleeping bags. We'll go in a little bit more depth later on that. And then our necessity gear, just things we'll need in time of necessity, such as bear attacks or animals or whatever have you, starting fires. You need a little bit of rope, sure. And then we'll dive into our cooking gear right after that, and we'll finish it off with the med bag, just kind of showing you guys everything that's in there and everything you're really just gonna need to patch up your wounds, fix blisters while you're hiking, because they can really be a pain, and just for any cuts and scrapes, boo-boos, if you're getting a headache, pills. We'll dive into all of that later though. Let's get to it. All right, let's get right into it and start with the camp gear. First off, we have a rain tarp, and what this does is it just keeps all your gear dry if you don't want to have to store it in your vestibule inside of your tent, and it just gives you a little bit of extra space to put things. And if it does rain, it's really nice to just kind of sit under and chill, play games or whatever you want to do. This is the Wise Owl rain tarp. Got it off of Amazon for about, I don't know, $20. It was really cheap, but it's just really, really nice and nice to have. So first thing you'll need. And then we have our tent. This one's just a 2-person tent. It's the Alps Hexel. I think it's a Hexel. And it's just really, really nice as well. We bought it for about $250, and you really can't go wrong. And honestly, you can get tents for about $100 on Amazon. It's not really necessary to get these really expensive tents. Just anything that'll get you out there on the trail, really. What you doing, Lily? Then we have our sleeping bag. It is a little bit bigger, but it's really hard to find a sleeping bag that'll pack down really, really small. But honestly, if you pack your gear right, you won't need a small sleeping bag because your bag won't be too full. Yeah, this is the Mountain Hardwear sleeping bag. It's really, really nice. Keeps me super, super warm. I believe it's a 20-degree bag. And what you want when you're camping, anywhere between spring and fall, just about a 15-degree to a 30-degree bag will do just fine. Because honestly, you won't see the temperature drop below that too much. And when it does, just go ahead and grab your sleeping liner and throw that on in there too. I don't have a sleeping liner here with me today, but that's also a really nice thing to have while you're on trail. It just adds another layer between you and your sleeping bag, just keeps you a little bit extra warmer. Next up, we have our sleeping pad. This is a 2-person sleeping pad, so it's a little bit on the heavier side, but you get a little bit of a 2-in-1 sort of deal, so you don't have to carry quite as much weight in the end. Sorry, everything's a little bit packed weird, but we just kind of wanted to get out of camp last minute there. This is just a little rain tarp thing for my pack, actually, or rain cover, I should say. And I don't know, I haven't really opened it, but on a rainy day and you're hiking, you got to get to your next camp. It's really, really nice to have it to cover your pack and keep all of your things dry. And this is another safety precaution you can have to keep all of your gear dry. It's just a 55-gallon trash bag, really, a contractor bag. And you'll have this on the inside of your pack, way in there, with all of your clothes and anything you want to keep dry in there. And then this will just add a whole extra measure just to keep everything super, super dry. Because while you're out there, you really, really don't want to get wet. You really don't want to get wet. And I've experienced it before. I've been absolutely freezing, absolutely soaked the night before, and then slept through the night below freezing, snowing out. It is not fun. You don't want to do that. Next up, we have trail necessities and tools. So first off, we have this pocket knife. You're always going to need a knife while you're on the trail, whether it's just cutting food up or cutting lunch up or cutting rope, anything like that. You're just always going to need one. So this is very important to have. Then we have just a wallet. Mine has an air tag, so actually my parents can track me on this while I'm out there, which is really helpful. They can know where I am, keep a little bit of peace of mind. And then I have some cash in here as well, about $20, just in case I need someone to pay me a favor, give me a ride if I'm hurt or something like that. It's a little bit more persuading that way. Or if I need to pay for a campsite or something in the middle of the trail, it's just really helpful to have a little bit of cash on hand. Then we have the spot device or GPS device. This is very, very important if you're going anywhere in the backcountry where there's no internet, no cellular reception or anything like that. And it has a little carabiner it can hook right on your backpack. And basically what it does is it allows you to type a message and it connects to the satellite and just shoots up and then shoots back down straight to whoever you send the message to. And it's a fail-safe thing. It's really, really good. You can just go ahead and type a message to your loved ones and send it, and they receive it within about 5 minutes normally. And it keeps your loved ones at peace, and they know you're safe and everything's all right. So this is very important. And you can track your route on that as well. And it has a built-in compass, which is helpful at times too. And then we have our bear spray. This is very important if you're going at any mountain range or anything like that with bears. It has a little safety release trigger, and then you can go ahead and spray it just like that. That's nice. And this little safety trigger is it's glow in the dark, so if you're in your tent and you hear a bear or something like that, you can just go ahead and grab your spray and just do whatever you need to with it. But while you're out there, don't be really hesitant when you're spraying, because you don't want to affect wildlife, because you're the intruder while you're out there. You really don't want to squirt any animals when they're out there living and you're intruding on them. That's very nice to have. And we have just a battery pack and a charger. Just a charger for anything you're going to be charging. Earbuds, speaker, phone. None of that's a necessity though, so I'd stick to just earbuds if you're going to listen to music. And then a little battery pack. This one doesn't hold too much capacity, so I'd recommend something with a little bit more capacity and will charge a phone a little bit quicker, just in case of an emergency, of course. Then we have our little supply bag, as I like to call it. I just keep a lighter in here and a pen just in case I need to fill anything out at a campsite, and some really good paracord. And you're always going to find a use for paracord while you're out there, because you really can't go wrong. You can tie anything together. You can make any contraption work with it. You need a little bit of extra length on your tent or something like that. Really helpful. And then we have our dry bag with all of our little fire starters and matches and lighters and whatnot. I like to keep it in a dry bag. Just keeps everything dry and nice, and you don't have problems starting them up or anything like that. Hang that right off your bag as well. I think that pretty much covers it, actually. Yeah, here we go. And then we have sunglasses. It's really nice for sunny days, or if you're hiking in the snow, which I don't recommend backpacking in the snow, it sucks. But they're very nice for snow glare and just the sun shining in your eyes. And then I have just a little beanie if it's going to be chilly in the night times. your head's gonna be peeking right out of your sleeping bag, it's nice to have a little bit of extra warmth. And then this is just one more thing for walking around camp. It's a rain jacket. You always want to bring a rain jacket and have it close to you at all times, because you don't want any of the clothes under the rain jacket to get wet. And yeah, it just gives you a little bit more time to get to your rain tarp area, close everything up, and go to your tent. Yeah, I keep it right in my vestibule, actually. So if it's raining or something in the morning, I can just go ahead and put it on, walk outside, and I don't have to worry about getting wet or anything like that. So last but definitely not least, we have our cook gear, or our food gear. First off, we have the isobutane burner and canister. Isobutane is basically just a 50-50 mix of propane fuel and butane fuel. It burns a little bit hotter and it burns slower, so it just allows you to bring a lot less gas while you're out on the trail. And then I have this little burner, just bought it out. The canister you can buy at Walmart too, but I bought this burner at Walmart for about 15 bucks, and it's really, really nice. Hasn't failed me yet. I definitely recommend it. It's just the Walmart brand. And then I always carry a second stove along with me just in case this one were to break, and it gives me a little bit more peace of mind, and it's nice to have too. And it really doesn't take too much extra weight either. Next up, we have just a little container to eat out of. Something simple, doesn't have to be very complicated, just something that's compact. Next up, we have our pot and utensils. It's a pretty big pot, but you can really cram food. Last but not least, we have our cook gear, or our food gear. Starting off, we have some utensils. Last but not least, we have our cook gear, or our food gear. Starting off, we have some utensils. This is a lot of utensils. You can kind of just pick and choose which ones you want to bring. A spoon and fork, kind of a combo here. And then just 2 little spatulas just for stirring your soup or whatever you're cooking. And then we have a pot. It looks pretty big, but it doesn't take up too much space because you can fill up the center with food when you pack it in your bag. And yeah, you can see we've used it over the fire quite a few times. And that's why we like the big pot, because you can use it over the fire, and you can use it right over the burner as well. Next up, we have our isobutane canister and isobutane fuel burner. The isobutane is basically just a 50-50 mix of propane and butane. You can find it at pretty much any store. Walmart carries it all the time. And along with this, Walmart has this stove as well. The stove just screws right on top like so. Flip that up. The stove just screws right on top like so. Hear a little hiss, but that's alright. Turn on the fuel. And this stove's actually really, really nice, just because it has like little flange things that flip out. And yeah, you can see it's started now. It's a really nice big flame. It keeps the boil going really, really nicely, and it boils fast as well. And yeah, you can see it has the little flange things here. It doesn't get too hot. Sizzling fingers. But yeah, they normally just flip right out, and it gives you a little bit of extra room when you're boiling on a big pot. And then I always like to bring a second stove along, just in case that one were to break. Just have an extra. It'd be very, very bad if that one would break. Because if you're 20 miles out of your hike, and you gotta hike 20 miles back, and you don't have any food, then you're kind of screwed. So that's why I always bring 2. Then we have our seasonings, or our little seasoning bag. This isn't 100% necessary, but for me it is, because I like to have my food taste good when I'm on trail. And when you're out there, salt is gonna taste really, really good. So you're gonna wanna bring a big bottle of salt. And we just have our food, of course, just regular old meals, just dry meals from Walmart. And then you're gonna need your water bottles. I just have these 32-ounce Nalgene's, and these are just the most practical ones you can get. You can just hang them from your carabiners off your pack. Yeah, they're really, really nice. You can get them anywhere. And then we have the portable aqua. Oh, hi, Willie. The portable aqua iodine tabs, or they're not iodine tabs, but portable aqua tabs. And this is just to purify your water. You guys probably know about that. And yeah, those are all the necessities for cooking. This right here is our med bag. I made sure to pick a nice bright color for the dry sack to keep it in, just so that it's visible and we can find it anytime we need it. We're gonna take a peek inside and show you everything that we need. I have in front of me the medications that you need to keep in your med bag. First off, we have our allergy relief, or Benadryl. This is helpful to have just in case you get a bee sting, you're having somewhat of an allergic reaction, or really anything. If you eat something or come in contact with a plant that you have an allergic reaction to, you can go ahead and take some allergy relief Benadryl, and it should clear it up right away. If you do have more severe allergens, I would definitely suggest to bring an EpiPen along with, which should be standard practice for you anyways, so I assume that wouldn't be too big of a problem. And then we have our acetaminophen, or pain reliever. I like to keep this just because it's an anti-inflammatory, and after a long day of hiking, your knees tend to get a little bit swollen, and they really hurt. So I just go ahead and take 2 of these, and I have a good night, and I don't have to worry about the pain whatsoever. Next, we have some ibuprofen, and this is just another kind of pain reliever that you can take, and it's just one extra step you can take in the right direction to not being in pain on trail. And if you want, like if you're not seeing a whole lot of results from the acetaminophen alone, you can go ahead and take 2 of these and 1 or 2 of these ibuprofen, and it won't hurt you whatsoever. So that's just another way to go ahead and boost your dosage without causing any harm. Here we have some headache medicine. It is just caffeine and aspirin put together in the same pill. And I just go ahead and take this if I'm having some sort of headache, or I'm really tight kind of in the back of my neck here, which tends to happen quite a bit. I go ahead and just take 2 of those, and my headache normally is gone within 30 minutes, which is wonderful. And I definitely recommend that to anyone watching the video. And then it's kind of weird, but here we have some laxatives, Sienna S laxatives. And that's just, if you're constipated on trail, it's kind of a weird subject, but if you're constipated on trail, it's really bad news, and it can cause you to not want to eat anymore, and you just get super, super clogged up. And sometimes the food that you eat on trail, such as the cheese and meats that you don't normally eat on your daily diet at home, you do experience some problems with that. So it's always good to have a little bit of laxatives along with. Next, we have our bismuth, our Pepto-Bismol. That's what it's called. And if you're having a little tummy ache, I prefer to bring, I don't know, about a whole box, about 24 tablets of this, because your tummy does get upset while you're out there. And you can go ahead and take 1 or 2 of those, and it normally calms down within an hour, and that's just very nice to have while you're out there. And if you do run into a problem where you are getting a cold or you have a stuffy nose or something like that, a sore throat, you're coughing a lot of phlegm, I like to go ahead and just bring a couple allergy relief tabs as well. And that'll just keep you a little bit more motivated and not want to sit around camp all day and just sulk. So that's all we have for medication. Let's get right into our med bag. In my med bag, I like to keep just a generic little first aid kit in there. And what I do is I go ahead and go to the store and just grab a couple things that I think I might need. And I just go ahead and shove it right in there. And then it just gives a little bit of extra separation in between your pills and all your other medical items, just so that you can find them quickly and in a timely manner. Here we have some just fabric bandages. I prefer the fabric bandages just because they tend to stick and last a little bit longer. I prefer to bring as many as I can, just as many as I can fit in this little pouch here, just because you really don't know what's going to happen out there. And even if it is just little cuts and scrapes from breaking sticks or just anything like that, you're going to want to bring a pretty good amount of bandages there. Here we have just some regular just scissors. They're pretty sharp. They can just be used for cutting tape or dead skin off if you're cutting a dead skin off of a blister. Then I like to bring 2 different pairs of tweezers. I have a little bit of a sharper tweezer here, and that's just kind of to dig in there and get slivers out, or glass if you step on glass, which you should always be wearing shoes, so you should not step on glass and get it in your foot. But I like to bring a nice sharp pair of tweezers and then just a dull pair of tweezers for pulling it out. So if I get this back in here. I just have a regular lighter along with, and that's just to sterilize any of the medical equipment or tools that I will be using. And that's just so that if you're out there with other people and they're using the same equipment, you really don't want their bacteria inside of your wounds. So you just go ahead and hit it with the fire a little bit. It'll burn off any bacteria, and then you can just go ahead and use it like normal. Then we have a regular old nail clipper. I like to bring this along on every trip. This is very, very important to me. If you have long toenails and they're digging into your boots, they're gonna cause black inflamed toenails, and they're just gonna get really, really painful. There's gonna be a whole lot of pressure under there just from the bruising that's happening. And that's just caused from your toenails hitting the end of your boots. And the only fix for that really is to cut your nails. So if you do have a couple stray nails hanging out there, you can go ahead and just trim them down, or even if you have some dead skin, they work great for that as well. And then again, I also like to hit that with the lighter to disinfect it as well. And then I have a couple of different kinds of cream here. But the first one is triple antibiotic. This one, just make sure it's one extra step in the right direction, just so that you don't have any bacteria in there, and it's just really an antibacterial. And it'll also keep your wounds clean alongside of that. So this is really good to have while you're out there. I have a couple different kinds of gauze here. I have this 4x4, just regular gauze pad. I believe it just came in the first aid kit. And that's just really nice. If you get like a gash in your side or anywhere like that, you can go ahead and just slap it on there, tape all the way around the perimeter of it, and it should keep all the unwanted bacteria out and your wound nice and clean. And I have another kind of gauze here, just just a gauze roll. And that's if you get a cut on your finger that's a little bit too big for a Band-Aid, or on your palm or hand, somewhere where a Band-Aid wouldn't typically stick. You can go ahead and just wrap that gauze around and tape it. This gauze, I believe, just sticks to itself, which is nice to have. But I also have along some tape just in case it doesn't stick to itself. You can go ahead and wrap tape around a couple times and call it a day. I also use this tape for blisters just because it's water block Band-Aid tape. It's waterproof and it stays on for a long time, which is what you need when you're hiking, because when you're doing stream crossings and you're sweating, that moleskin that you can buy, I think I have some in here somewhere. Yeah, this moleskin stuff you can buy, I don't know. I really prefer to use the tape just because it tends to fall off of me very easily. But I do bring some along just in case. And then we have our safety blanket, or our thermal blanket. And what this does is it just takes your body heat and it reflects it back towards yourself. So if you get really cold, or you fall in a cold stream or something like that, you can take your clothes off and wrap this around you, and it'll prevent any hypothermia or anything like that from happening, or it'll slim down the risk for sure. And even if you're just really chilly at night, if it's dipping below the 32 marker, the freezing marker, you can just go ahead and wrap this all the way around your sleeping bag, and it's just an extra layer of insulation that is really nice to have. And then you don't get cold at night. And I don't know, a lot of people don't do that, but it really helps me. So that's really great to have. And then I have some just regular medical shears. They're not very sharp. That's kind of why I put this pair of sharp scissors in here, just because, I don't know. I don't even know why I kept them in here, but it is kind of nice to have two pairs of scissors just in case. And I have some gloves here just in case it's someone else's wound that you're fixing up. Say if they're incapacitated and they can't work on themselves, or it's too painful for them, you can go ahead and throw a pair of these on just to add a layer so that you don't get their wound all infected and full of bacteria. Right here we just have some K-band, and it has a little piece of Velcro on there. If you do end up spraining your ankle or twisting your ankle, twisting any body part really, you can go ahead and just wrap this around it pretty tight, and it adds quite a bit of support, and it makes it a little bit less painful and causes less swelling. So this is very important to have, because if you have a sprained ankle and you're out there, you really don't want to be walking on it unsupported, and you have to make something, you have to jimmy rig something up with sticks and tape, and you really don't want to do that. Just go ahead and bring some K-band with you. Last but definitely not least, we have our sunscreen. And the bottle is a little dirty, but that shows that we used it. I prefer to bring sunscreen that's over SPF 50, just because I'm very white and I burn easily. But you can just pick whatever works best for you. I just go ahead and put it on right before I hike in the morning, and again at lunch, and then I don't see any sunburn or anything like that. And when you're sleeping at night, you really don't want to have sunburn, just because your sleeping pad is pretty scratchy, just the material that it's made out of. So definitely bring some sunscreen. And that concludes our med bag. We have the Dweeter Air Contact 70 liter backpack here. Actually, there's an addition for an extra 10 liters in here. Just allows you to cram a little bit of extra gear in. Any pack will work while you're out on the trail as long as it fits your geometry. And I'm gonna say it again, as long as it fits your geometry, because if you don't have a backpack that fits right and you're out on the trail, you're really just gonna hate yourself. You truly are. It'll wear down your shoulders and pull on your collarbones, and by the end of the trip, you're gonna have really, really bruised collarbones, and that's not what you want. So pick the pack that works for you. That's what I always say. Oh yeah, last year I went on a trip and the buckle broke, so it's an easy fix. I just went ahead and bought an aluminum buckle, and just threw that right on there, and it's worked great ever since. And that's the only thing I've had a problem with on this thing. Yeah. The last thing you're gonna want to bring is just a really nice, comfortable pair of hiking boots. And the last thing you're gonna want to bring is just a really, really comfortable, nice pair of hiking boots. And that's important because then you don't have to worry about getting too many blisters while you're out there. It's adamant that you're gonna get some blisters for sure, but if you choose the right hiking boot, it'll mitigate that risk for sure. And it's nice to know that you won't hurt when you're walking, because that really, really sucks. And it's also important to get waterproof boots. These ones actually have Gore-Tex in them, just a Gore-Tex lining on the inside, and it adds a fully waterproof layer, and your feet they don't get wet at all, and it's just really wonderful. Then you're gonna need a nice pair of camp shoes, anything that's super, super comfortable and waterproof. Crocs are my favorite pick. They're really, really nice, and I love them. Mine kind of got burnt on the campfire, but doesn't matter. They're beautiful anyways.